Weeknights are always stressful. Sometimes even thinking about cooking can seem like a chore. For those nights when you're off your feet before you make it in the door, what you need are easy time-saving recipes and a few simple tricks to help you get dinner on the table fast or even effortlessly entertain. I'm Josh Abrams, and I'll show you how the sausage is made. So, for 30-minute minestrone, which is my favorite thing to have on a cold, wintry day when I literally can't stand to cook, it's really easy. If you come with me, I'll show you what we need. We need some celery, some carrot from the fridge, as well as some garlic, and some stock concentrate. I use vegetable, a little bit of tomato juice, and from the freezer, mixed veg. And from your pantry, you'll need small pasta, cannellini beans, and diced tomatoes. Also a very large softball sized onion. And we're just going to cut the ends off, cut it in half, pull off the exterior skin and cut it into some very large chunks. Pop it into the bowl of your food processor. Carrots, I cannot be bothered to peel carrots. I will never be bothered to peel carrots. Especially small guys like these that are nice and tender. We're just going to cut the ends off on both sides and pop them right in. So cut them into small chunks. We're going to do the same with the celery. Just a couple of ribs here. And until everything is mostly a homogeneous mix. I'm going to grab a large Dutch oven. Into that, add a couple of tablespoons of butter. And some olive oil. And we'll go ahead and put the spurs to that. Be safe, take your blade out first. We're going to add a good amount of salt. Again, an obscene amount of pepper. If your arm's tired, you've probably got enough. To that, we're going to add a touch of dry sage, dried basil, good amount of dry parsley. I'm sorry, dry Thyme, rather. Got what I had in my hand. And dry oregano. I know this is a lot of dry spices and everyone, dry herbs, and everyone tells you to avoid dry herbs. It's nonsense. They taste delicious and they're easy and you don't have to worry about them. Yes, you need to replace them every 6 months. This is also some parsley going in right now, as well as a good amount of red pepper flake. Give that a quick stir. Leave that to its own devices. Next we have our garlic. I buy my garlic pre-peeled because I am, again, lazy. I am going to smash very thoroughly. And then run my knife through. You don't have to worry about getting this too fine. Do use your best friend, the bench scraper, to pick all this up and put it in with the rest of your goodies here. We're gonna let that get nice and fragrant. Once that's done, we'll add a whole quart. Oh. Add your whole can of cannellini beans at this point as well. You don't need to drain them. That bean liquid is going to help thicken the sauce. A can of tomatoes. Slightly more concentrated stock than is required for 2 quarts. For this, that's about that would be 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to use 2 very heaping tablespoons. And also just some plain. Use a whole pound of frozen mixed veg here. And this is approximately a pound. We're going to use about a quarter of this bag of small pasta. So about 4 ounces. Getting a bit heavy to stir with just that. And we're just gonna bring that to a boil, and when the pasta is ready, the soup is ready. Fruit tarts are the easiest thing in the world. They literally have 3 ingredients. We have pre-made puff pastry from the grocery, any kind of stone fruit you want. I happen to be using plums today, and sugar. You can use regular white sugar, brown sugar, demerara sugar, whatever sugar you feel like using. So we're going to cut open the pastry. It's not. This is not rocket science here. I have left these to thaw on my counter, so they are mostly thawed at this point, but still a little frozen. That's a good thing. And all we need to do here is flatten that out. And we're going to cut these into 6 even squares. No, they are not absolutely perfectly equal. That's okay. Set these aside. And we have 6 different tarts, so we're going to take 3 of these. These have been washed already. When you do that, you want to roll your knife around it. And take your knife again, quarter. Grab yourself a red baking sheet and some parchment. take plum slices and make yourself a nice decorative fan pattern. Okay, so we have all of the tarts now laid out. All we have to do is gently sprinkle them with some sugar all the way around. And if you want to do, you could bake these now, but I think they're better warm, so I'm going to put them back in the refrigerator until we're ready to eat dinner. Pop them in because they only take about 15 minutes, and then they will be very warm and luscious and firm and juicy, and all of the good things. We can serve them with a little bit of whipped cream and or ice cream. So we're going to get started on the ravioli with pesto cream and tomato relish. And we're going to start. I already have some water boiling, to which I'm going to add a fair amount of salt. Allow it to continue to boil. Whatever kind of ravioli you prefer, I'm using 4 cheese today. It's not on. It should be. So we're just going to drop these directly into the boiling salt. Grab a spider and give those a good stir. And we're going to let those cook while we turn our attention to the sauce. Sauce is pretty simple. 3 or 4 ingredients, depending on how fancy you want to get. We're going to start by taking mixing that with about the same weight of cheese. So I'm going to use a combination of pre-grated romano, and I'm also going to grate what's left of this block of Parmesan. So I've got a pint of cream and about 8 ounces of shredded hard cheese here. Go ahead and put the spurs to it. And we're going to stir this together over medium heat until it is bubbling and homogeneous. You don't have to stir it the entire time, just stir occasionally to make sure it's not burning in any capacity. Okay. Well, that is slowly bubbling away. We'll start on our tomato relish. I've got 2 packages of tomatoes here. I'm going to quickly rinse them. And a tip for quickly cutting these: I'm going to take yourself 2 good old-fashioned deli lids. Pile a handful of your tomatoes in between. Make sure they're all relatively the same size. Grab yourself a sharp knife. One hand on top. Make sure you curve your fingers upward. And sliced tomatoes. Not quite, but close enough. There we go, tomatoes are done. It's lovely. I hear my pasta just about being ready. We can give that a nice little stir. Those are actually just about ready. And we will carefully move these from the boiling water to a to this large baking vessel. We're going to hold those for just a second while we take a look at our sauce here, which is just about ready to go. Last minute addition is some store-bought pesto. I like the refrigerator kind. If you cannot find the refrigerated kind, the shelf-stable kind is acceptable. Good. Three tablespoons of our pesto. Stir that into our sauce here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off this sauce because it is good to go. Pour the sauce over the ravs. It does look like a lot of sauce. Remember that you are going to be cooking this, you are going to be baking this, so this sauce is going to dehydrate a bit. So don't worry about how liquid it is right now. Just going to gently toss these ravs in this cream sauce. Let's finish the tomato relish that goes on top. We've got a shallot here that's going to go in. And that looks like enough onion for this particular application, so just go ahead, toss that in. Add a touch of sherry vinegar. Add a lot of salt and pepper. Little swirl of olive oil too, don't forget. Toss that together. Grab your pre-shredded Italian blend. Have no shame in using pre-shredded cheese. Just try to make sure they use potato starch instead of cellulose for their non-caking agent. Good blanket of your cheese. And then we're going to take our tomatoes and we're going to gently direct them into a couple of lines. Got yourself a second line here. You can always rearrange some tomatoes if you feel like, with your hands, if you feel like your lines are not totally even. You use a little sprinkle. Parsley over top, and we'll put this in a 400-degree oven for 15 to 20 minutes. as long as 30. As your raviolis are baking, you're going to want to think about that loaf of bread we bought. We just got a big loaf from the supermarket. It's just regular old baguette, nothing special. But what we are going to do here, we're not going to do a lot. We are going to go ahead and throw it in the oven along with our wrap. So you're going to want to get a long shit boil here. A bit longer than your baguette. So your baguette in the center. Roll up either side and crimp in the middle. Sort of crimp over. And then tie your ends up. And this is ready for the oven. You can pop it into the 400-degree oven for the last 10 minutes with your wraps, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Alright. Going in. I just noticed actually.
Actually, that didn't pull very well. Oh, there we go.
The shot right on.
Yeah, that's a Hero 6. That one doesn't 4K. Just pulled these out of the oven, and as you can see, they're really nice and crisp. We've got a nice crust on these. We're going to serve these with some nice vanilla ice cream. Just like that. I think Connor's going to come help me take these out to people.